Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. My name is Johan Steyn. I'm working with the team here at Vox to bring a number of very important podcast recordings to the market. With me today is Chris and Barry. We're going to talk about business continuity, backups in the age of AI, security threats, etc. But just briefly, Chris, if you can introduce yourself, and then you, Barry.
Thank you, Johan. My name is Christopher Steyn. I'm a channel executive for Sophos. I look after all our strategic and key partners, of which Vox is one of them. I've been with the organization for about 10 years now, and I've got a passion for channels. So I'm here to assist our partners and our customers.
My name is Barry Kemp. I'm the MD of Nymbis Cloud Solutions. We're a South African cloud service provider. Amongst other things, we're a Veeam Platinum service provider partner. So we provide backup services, and obviously this discussion is very key on the backup radar.
This is such an important topic for businesses. And as I said, business continuity. I think everyone kind of knows it, but we all know it until you need that backup. Something's gone wrong. Even if you don't regularly save it on your laptop, I always tell the wife, please make sure you save it. Now we're on Google Drive and on Microsoft Server that it's always backed up. I remember the days when I was working for a company where we had a client, mining client. We had to drive there every day, get their tapes, remove it off-site. Next day we did the same, etc. But these days it's automated, it's cloud-based, etc., which brings efficiencies but also risks. So where are we, if you would, in the world of backup at the moment from a technology point of view? Chris?
So maybe if I can just start there. So we've done a recent survey, and we've been doing this for the last 6 years. We will look at ransomware in the market, especially in the South African market. And what we've seen is that the adversaries are attacking organizational backups first before anything else, because as soon as you can compromise an organization's backups, in the event of ransomware, how are you going to recover? And so we see that more and more, and a lot of customers, they assume as soon as they've got backup in place that they're good to go. If anything happens, we can just recover. But they don't look at, but what if the adversaries are already in your data? They're already sitting there. We've had an instance where a customer was hit, and we had to go back 18 months worth of backups to find a backup that was actually suitable for them to use, that was not compromised. And as an organization, can you really afford 18 months of downtime, essentially, where your backups have been compromised? So one of the areas that we look at is to provide secure backups to customers, or have that discussion with customers to say, is your backups currently secure? Do you know that you've got secure backups in place? And then you've mentioned tape, and we often say to customers, well, tape is probably one of the safest methods at the moment, because how are you going to compromise that?
Exactly. And Barry, from a Nymbis point of view, what do you see happening in the market?
So I think what's happening, particularly in the backup side, is there's a lot more of a tight integration with security. And to that point, Veeam and Sophos actually have a strategic relationship to be able to do things like scanning your backups as the backup runs. The Sophos system can actually scan it as it comes in, ensuring that you've got a clean copy, because like Chris said, you have to go back 18 months to recover a customer, rather have a clean copy going in. So that's quite an important new innovation. Your backup used to be backup. Like the concern was my hard drive failed, my server died, maybe it got stolen, something like that, or a natural disaster. And now it's much more closely focused on the security side. They call it cyber resilience. That's the new buzzword that Veeam uses quite a lot now in their marketing, because it's become such an integral part to have those two, the security and the backup side, working together to make sure that you've got clean backup, be able to recover with a clean backup, and not just lose a hard drive. That's become a secondary problem now,
yes.
Thanks to ransomware.
But I want to ask you, Barry, and then you, Chris. So somebody's listening to us today and they say, oh my word, we need to get these people in. And now you pick up that the backup is compromised. What do they do next?
Well, then they would need to get hold of their security professionals, whether that's an in-house team or whether it's an outsourced partner, using the right piece of software to be able to scan those backups and try and recover as much as they can, clean it. There's a lot of technologies out there that can actually, and Veeam supports that, plug in of a third party into the backups, scan it, clean it, and then recover, rather than recovering and bringing back the same virus that caused the problem in the first place.
On the same point, Chris, though, but what about cloud backup? So as a business owner, I know it's somewhere in the cloud, whatever that means, because people don't even understand that. Can you even help me find out if my cloud backups are compromised as well, not just my tapes or my on-site backups?
So generally, if you start going through the process of trying to recover, you're going to go through the whole process of where's my backups currently sitting, and then only then will you know the true effect of what has happened. Most of the times it will just be your local backups that is compromised. But if the attackers manage to get a foothold within your cloud environment, those backups are at risk as well. So I think this is probably one of the areas that most customers are not aware of. Everybody is moving to cloud, and everybody assumes, well, as soon as I move to cloud, I'm safe. I don't have to worry anymore. But most of the time, and this is where most organizations fail, is that they don't read the fine print. So your cloud provider will say, okay, I'm giving you a secure platform, but the data that sits there is still your responsibility. So how you protect your data is up to you. So do you have the right measures in place? Do you have the right tools? Is your backup that you're currently using, is there steps in place to let you know that if you've been compromised, that your backups are currently potentially at risk? So as an organization, those are the type of things you need to go through to confirm, is my cloud backups also at risk? Because I think everybody just assumes, and that's the big problem.
Yeah, it's almost like a fake reassurance. And I know these cloud companies are doing a lot.
Yeah.
But what if I understand if my data is compromised and I do a backup on it? But if my data is clean, can they attack my backup in the cloud and compromise it there?
Well, they can reach, depending on how your backup's configured. An attacker could get your cloud backup using the mechanisms that you probably use. And that's why it's so important, particularly in backup, not to use the same administrator account in your cloud instance, for example. That's a big no-no. It must have its own credentials, and then this also comes into the immutability discussion, having immutable backup. So immutable means the backup's written once and can't be overwritten, deleted until a time period has lapsed. So let's say you've set your immutability for 6 months. In that 6 months, they can try as they like. They're not going to be able to delete, compromise, get into their backup. And that's a very important part of the backup strategy, is to make sure you've got immutability enabled. And immutability in the cloud, there's a definition of immutability using block storage, or object storage, sorry. But it's actually the same as having a tape, really, if you think about it. It's write once, read many times. That's the key part.
But that original file or tape, if you would, you can't mess with it.
Yeah.
Theoretically. So if people say we're a smaller business, we don't know if this is important. Well, it is, but we don't always have budget. Can they use the Sophos tools? And I understand that banks and others, highly regulated organizations, but what is the medium-sized market for both of you? Because it should be, I mean, it is an expense, it's an operational expense, but I would assume it's probably not as expensive as people think if you're a small business. I don't know.
It comes down to having that conversation about where are you currently and where do you want to be. So unfortunately, cybersecurity is not a one-stop shop. It's not a fix overnight. It's a journey. You have to start at a point and say, okay, I'm at this point, but I want to get to a different point. So how are you going to assist me to get there? So those are the type of conversations that we have with customers. We meet them where they are currently in their journey. We're not there to say, okay, this is what we're going to do for you. We look at, this is where you are, and then how can we help you to create a more mature model for your business, and then use the current tools that you currently have in place. So not saying let's rip and replace, but rather let's complement what you currently have by adding the likes of MDR on top of that, where we manage your security for you, where we integrate with all your other security solutions, and we can manage that for you. And even from a backup perspective, we can start looking at your backups. If there's a compromise happening on the backup, we can notify, or we can go and stop that attack from compromising your backups, essentially. So it comes down to the journey, and that's what we're here to help our customers with.
Barry?
So I think cloud, to a large degree, has democratized the backup market. You don't need a massive tape drive or a big tape library anymore. You can just start small and grow out. So as a small business, you can get quite a lot of bang for your buck by using a cloud backup service. Obviously, there's some T's and C's. Make sure you have a mutual backup and you've got your own systems in place. But the cost of backup has become quite a bit lower than it used to be in some sort of 10 years ago. It's come down quite a lot, and the functionality has also increased quite a lot in that time. The ability to do immediate restores and that sort of thing didn't exist 10 years ago, especially if you want to come off a tape, like a tape backup. Cloud backup can in a lot of ways be a lot quicker than that. But normally it would be something on site and then go into the cloud as your second copy.
Chris, because you mentioned that rip and replace. We spoke about it on another recording. Because now I'm a business owner, I do have something, and I realize it's not adequate. We're going to bring you guys in. But what's that risk in the time that we switch that off and switch that on? How does it work?
So the risk comes down to how quickly can we start. So as soon as a business owner, as soon as you say, I'm happy with what you're proposing, let's start it. It will be immediate. It's not a matter of us, like I said, with the rip and replace, we have to go and reinstall everything, reconfigure everything. We just plug on top of what you currently have, make a couple of recommendations in terms of where we see the gaps, make a couple of rule changes here and there, and then we can start taking over immediately. So from a risk aspect, this comes down to how quickly we can get on board.
Barry, what are the biggest concerns and almost complaints and pushbacks you get when you speak to business owners about this?
So to a degree, it's sometimes the bandwidth that they require, because obviously a cloud backup needs to get uploaded into the cloud. But in South Africa, that has become much less of an issue with the price of bandwidth coming down. Vox obviously has a range of solutions that have brought the cost right down compared to it was 5 or 10 years ago. And that's become a lot easier. And it's also when you need to recover, because you obviously have to pull it off the cloud. So that's one of the key pushbacks. But also, when you talk about cost, it's almost a false economy not to be spending money on your security and your backups. Because if you get compromised and you get ransomware, you're probably going to pay a lot more than you do for your backup and your security software in some sort of ransom, or just getting somebody in to go and recover your data, than if you just had the backups running in the first place and having security in place.
I think often business owners, and especially directors, don't know how much they are at risk if their business is not compliant, and if there's nothing in place that will make the business survive. I mean, there's some real trouble, legal trouble that can come your way, and it's a bit of I won't say a scare tactic, but it's a reality check as well. Now, I've got a client, they are in the supply chain industry. I think about 400 trucks. Every driver has an iPad, and it's made them very efficient. But now there are 400 devices out there that's vulnerable. So, and I think a lot of businesses do have these multiple devices. So let's talk about that, the risks, but also the solutions that can help them.
I think maybe most organizations don't see the risk when it comes to mobile devices. I mean, we all walk around with smart devices. We all use it for business, for our business email and communication. And how many organizations actually protect the information that sits on that device? And I think it comes down to bring your own device. A lot of organizations you can bring your own device, but how do you ensure security on that device from a compliance perspective? Because 9 out of 10 times the users, this is my device, I don't want you to touch it. And then you have to start looking at, how do I overcome that hurdle? So it comes down to a dedicated mobile device management solution where we're actually not worried about the personal information that sits on that device. We're purely looking at the business information, the contractual information that you sign when you sign up as an employee, that the information needs to be stored in a secure manner. So you have to start looking at solutions to look after those devices. So whether it be your personal device or whether it be company-issued devices, what solutions are currently on those on those devices protecting the information? Because what happens in the event that device gets lost or stolen? Is there a way for you to track it or to remote wipe it? Because it's information that sits on there, and from a regulator perspective, you need to provide feedback in terms of what did I put in place to secure that device.
Barry, on that, what I want to ask you, obviously you can comment on the same point, but it's a change management thing. There's 2 large consulting firms where I work where they said you can use your phone, we're going to load an agent on it for exactly this. We can wipe it when it's lost, we can track it, we make sure it's secure. The first thought one has is, what if they track everything I do? Now I think, I'm not doing anything bad, but I don't want you to read my WhatsApps to my wife kind of thing. So let's talk about that, just that human element, and in the greater theme of what we're talking about today, how human nature can probably be one of the biggest problems in this conversation.
So I think it's about policy, but it's also about making sure your employees understand what it's doing, that it's not going to be able to get into your WhatsApps or your photographs, and that it's focused on a very specific area of your phone where your company data is, your email, your calendar, those sort of things. It's not an intrusive tool. It's a business specific tool aimed at protecting the business interests of the company. And in most companies, like Chris said, there'll be a policy and a procedure when you sign up as an employee that dictates that. So in some cases, the case, well, if you don't accept this, then you can't have email on your phone. That's just the way
Can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
Exactly. Gents, it's been very, very insightful. A little scary, but what I get out of this, there are some real solutions and real ways to give us peace of mind. Chris and Barry, thank you so much. Viewers, there you have it. You can sleep well at night. Let's partner up with the team at Vox and with these wonderful gentlemen and the companies they represent. Don't get hit by something where you look for your backup and it's not there or it's been compromised. It is possible to do this right, so please reach out to the team here at Vox. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, goodbye.